Hello and welcome to Make It Happen with Will Polston. I'm Will Polston. This is episode number 25, and in this episode, I'm really looking forward to sharing with you what I call morning routine magic. And morning routines, they're a huge. I'm a huge fan of them. As you probably noticed if you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, with most of our guests, I ask them about their morning routine, I ask them about their habits, because I think it's so important. And the significance and importance of starting the day right is overlooked by so many people. When you start the day right, you really maximize your effective time for positive influence on the rituals of your whole day. And by setting the tone for the new day at the beginning of the day is really, really important. And the best strategy to do so is to simply form good habits wrapped up in a morning routine. And if you don't have that, what you're doing is you're relying on how you feel emotionally when you wake up to determine how your day is going to be. And inevitably what happens is you start to become reactive to the day rather than proactive. So with a morning routine, it sets you up for the day. I mean, if you think about it, we only have about 25,000 mornings in our adult lives. And we want to make each one count. And the chances are, if you're like me, you've wasted quite a few in the past. So from today, what you're going to be able to do is have a new insight into morning routines. If you're someone that already does have a morning routine, then I still highly recommend listening to this, because I actually go into it in a lot more depth, pretty much than anyone that I've ever heard talk about morning routines, and I incorporate things that a lot of other people don't. So it's definitely worth having a listen to this. But in order to kick off morning routines, what I want to do is talk about the science behind it, and also some of the famous people that no doubt you've heard of that also have morning routines and what they do. So Jane Austen, she would wake up immediately, she'd play the piano, she'd make breakfast with her family, and then she would go on to write. President Obama, he always used to do cardio and a weights routine followed by breakfast with his daughter. You have people like Ariana Huffington of the Huffington Post. She would begin her day with yoga and meditation. And Steve Jobs would contemplate with a philosophical question, which was, if today was my last day on earth, what would I do differently? So you all notice they have different routines, but they all have one. And that's the thing that I want to stress here. Don't just do my routine. But what I encourage you to do is test certain parts of it and see what works for you. That's really, really important. So I want to start off with the number one myth around morning routines. And the number one myth around morning routines is that you don't have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Or the myth is that you have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It does not matter what time you wake up. But what does matter is what you do when you first wake up. So there's a lot of books like the 5 a.m. Club and Miracle Morning and things which talk a lot about getting up early. And yet I do like to get up early for reasons I'll explain in a moment. But in my experience, people want to be more productive. They want better health. They want more happiness every day. And a morning routine has the ability to provide exactly that. But I just want you to contemplate right now. So wherever you listen to this, whether you're exercising, whether you're in the car, whether you're sitting down on the sofa, wherever you might be listening to this podcast episode right now, is what would you do with more in your day? So if what do you want more of in your day? You know, if you were to implement a morning routine, what would you want more of? So have a think about that question. Now let's look at how you're going to win the day. So I mentioned a book a moment ago, The Miracle Morning, which was written by a guy called Hal Elrod, and he has a great acronym for morning routines. Now I don't necessarily do them, I don't do them in this order, but it's a great way of remembering them. So he says, he's called the SAVERS acronym. So S stands for silence. So that silence for me consists of meditation and breathing. A is for affirmations. V is for visualization. E is for exercise. R is for reading. And S again is for scribing, which a lot of people know as journaling. But we're going to go into each of these in more detail, and I'm going to be sharing additional habits that I think are great for your morning routine. So the first one I'm going to kick off with is affirmations. So everything that you say to yourself or to other people leaves an imprint on your mind. And words, if they're said enough, over and over, whether they're true or not, will become convictions, which are super strong beliefs, and they will become embedded in your subconscious mind. So these are things that you say to yourself now at a subconscious level. And anything that you were actually told, but from sort of birth to 7 years old, which is what we call the imprint years, has also sort of made its way into your subconscious mind. So a lot of what we're actually sort of hearing in terms of our inner voice, or the patterns that we're running on a subconscious basis, we've been doing since we're from as early as our first few years, So with that, what it makes sense to do is make a conscious choice of what you say to yourself, not just at a conscious level, but a subconscious level, rather than run on a program that could be decades out of date. I mean, if you think about it, you wouldn't run your computer on Windows 95, would you? You wouldn't. You want to have the most up-to-date software. I have an iPhone, and I'm sure many people that listen to this do as well. And if you get to that point where you haven't upgraded the software for a period of time, it starts slowing down. It doesn't work as well. So we always want to make sure that we're operating on the best operating system we can do, and that's exactly what affirmations can do for us. We can reprogram our subconscious mind. Words create worlds. So these are affirmations that are going to help you to transform your inside and outside world by changing things in your reality, by changing the perspective of the way that you see things. So some tips for some affirmations would be: use affirmations in the present tense that start I am. Use affirmations that describe realities that are humanly possible. So let's not get delusional. Use affirmations that are simple and powerful. Use affirmations that give you a feeling of sort of being inspired and feeling great. Use affirmations you're willing to say for the rest of your life. Use affirmations that you can link to your senses, but also don't use words like always and never in your affirmations, because you can't always or never do anything. So you don't want to set yourself up for failure. So I'm actually going to read out a couple of my affirmations that I read out loud daily, to maybe give you a bit of inspiration, and then you can maybe come up with some of your own. So mine are: I'm lovable, I'm enough, I'm worthy and deserving of love, money and success. I'm a master problem solver and possibility creator. I'm grateful for all that I am, all that I do, all that I have. I'm a master of persistence and I do what it takes. I'm a money magnet and everything I touch turns to gold. Money flows freely and easily to me for the greater good of all. I'm a genius and I apply my wisdom. I'm focused on fair exchange. With fair exchange, everyone wins. I'm able to find a positive for every negative. I'm a master learner. Whatever I learn, I can retain and can recall. I can, I will, I must make it happen. So that's affirmations. If you are interested, then I do have an affirmation audio, which I think's about £17, but if you send me an email, info@make-it-happen.co.uk, then we can send you that affirmation audio, which has got 84 different affirmations that you can listen to before you go to bed. The second thing I want to talk about is gratitude and the power of gratitude. The benefits of practicing gratitude are endless. People who regularly practice gratitude, by taking time to notice and reflect upon the things that they're thankful for, experience more positive emotions, they feel more alive, they sleep better, they express more compassion and kindness, and often they'll actually have stronger immune systems as well. And gratitude doesn't need to be reserved only for these big momentous occasions when things have gone really well. Yeah, of course you might express gratitude after receiving a promotion at work, or someone doing something really nice for you, gifts that you get at your birthday, but you can also be grateful for something as simple as a rainy day. And what happens is so many people, they're quick to complain when something doesn't work, but then and they're not grateful for when things are going right, like having hot water, or when the car starts, when you get to the petrol station and it's open, things that you just start to expect. There's so many times when these things have happened, like you come downstairs and there's been a flood, or there's no hot water, or these things that become real inconveniences because we just take them for granted. And gratitude is a feeling that's created as a result of a shift in perspective. So whilst the things that you want might not have happened consciously, identifying the things that you actually want might not have happened, but identifying the smaller things can create a balance to enable you to get into a state of gratitude. It's impossible to feel negative emotions such as fear and anger at the same time as being grateful. And research has shown us that by just simply keeping a gratitude journal, regularly writing brief reflections for a moment that we're grateful, can significantly increase your well-being and satisfaction. So I highly encourage that you do that as a daily exercise. It will pay significant dividend to you. And yeah, I think you'll be very, very, very pleased that you did. Now, what's really interesting, and I just want to share with you something that's been a riddle. There's been a riddle that's been around for years and years and years that very few people have ever had the answer to. And this particular riddle has been deemed a riddle because it's been misunderstood. And it's actually from the Holy Scriptures, Matthew 13, 11, 12. And that is, whoever has will be given more, and he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken from him. And for many, many years, people thought that what was being spoken about was money. So whoever has money will be given more, and he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have money, even what he has will be taken from him. But that's not true. The answer is gratitude. Whoever has gratitude will be given more, and he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have gratitude, even what he has will be taken from him. So worth bearing that in mind. So a suggestion for doing your daily gratitude is journal it. So get a pen and paper or a pad and just write out things you're grateful for. I like to write out 10 things that I'm grateful for, and I'll often reflect on the previous day. So I'll scan myself back to the beginning of the day. What went well? Did I wake up on time? Did my alarm go off? And then I think about the things that didn't go so well. What were the things that didn't meet my expectations? And what's the reason that I'm grateful for those things too? So that's really important. So I'll identify 10 things. Now, what you can do, if you say, right, I'm grateful for my car starting, for example, then you can add a because on the end of that, because that meant that I could get to my appointment that I needed to, which meant that the rest of my day ran on time, which meant I didn't let anybody down, so on and so forth. So when you add because on the end, what it's going to do, it's going to create leverage. It's going to take it to the next level. Something else that you can do, which is a really nice little exercise, is just before you go to bed, is just reflect on the day and just think of the things that maybe didn't go so well, and create balance by finding the reasons that you can be grateful for them, looking in the different areas of life of how that will have benefited those. So that's gratitude. The next thing that I want to talk about is a personal declaration. So I personally choose to read a personal declaration most mornings. The clearer your vision is, the more likely you'll live and fulfill it. So the more objectives that you have in your key areas of life that align with your primary purpose, the more fulfilling your life's going to become. And if you're listening to this podcast for the first time, I encourage you to go back to episode 1, listen to Creating Your Vision. It will help you with that, and it will talk a lot about a North Star. And once you know your North Star, once that's declared, and you know what it is, all other secondary choices and other choices and objectives can be made much more effectively. It's a lot easier to create and make decisions based on knowing what your North Star is and your North Star trajectory. And all of those choices are actually going to stem from that North Star. So if we don't have that, then it's going to make decisions much harder, and therefore it can create a lot of uncertainty because we don't know what's going on. Now, regardless of whatever you choose to take, there's going to be pros and cons. It's never going to be one-sided. There's going to be things that are going to support you, things that are going to challenge you. But by having a personal declaration, basically what a personal declaration is it's your North Star written out in a way of how you're going to act. It's like a purpose statement. That's really, really what we're looking for. It's going to be talking about how you're going to be acting, what you're going to have, what you're going to be doing. And reading this most mornings is really, really, really empowering. I've got a very, very long one. I'm not going to read you the full extract of it. But again, if you're interested you want to use mine as an example, send me an email at info@make-it-happen.co.uk. Put personal declaration in the subject and I'll send you mine as an example. But I'll read just some of the extracts from it. So I'm Will Polston, and today I'm going to have an amazing day. I bring positivity, inspiration and motivation to those around me. I'm empowering 1 billion people to transform excuses into results to benefit themselves, their family, their friends, their community, society, humanity and the universe. Jump round a little bit. I'm humble in how I think, feel and act. I am generous to those around me. I am inspired about what I do. I'm fun, friendly, loving and playful with everyone I encounter. I'm full of energy. I have a clear mind. I have plenty of time to complete what I need to. I'm one of the world's best mindset strategists. I own a company that has more positive impact on people transforming excuses into results than any other in the world. So you get the idea. It's a form of long form affirmation talking about different things that are going on, and yeah, it's a great exercise to do. It's a really inspiring thing to read first thing in the day. The next thing we're going to be talking about is meditation. So I'm a huge fan of meditation. I only really started meditating about 4 years ago, and I talk about it every single day with people. I highly recommend that they do it. In Buddhist tradition, the word meditation is the equivalent to a word like sport. So it's a family of activities. It's not just a single thing. And meditation in itself is a skill. It's a skilled approach to training the mind in a similar way that fitness is an approach to training the body. And many meditation techniques exist, and there's lots of ways of doing it. I'm going to touch on a few ways that I think will be beneficial for you. So in life, there's so many things that are beyond our control. However, it's possible for us to take responsibility for our own states of mind and to change them for the better. And meditation is just a fantastic tool to be able to do that. In fact, there's only ever three things that we control, and that's our perception, our actions, and our will. And meditation falls into this bracket. So yeah, it's a practice that's used as where you will use a specific technique like mindfulness or concentrating your mind on a particular object or thought or activity. And what we're doing is we're training attention and awareness. And by doing that, we achieve a mentally clearer and we become mentally clearer, and we feel more emotionally calm and have a much more stable state. So it's all about training in awareness and getting a healthy sense of perspective. We're not trying to turn off thoughts and feelings. A lot of people think with meditation they're trying to stop thinking and stop feeling. That's not what we're looking to do. What we're looking to do is observe them without judgment, and eventually you might find that you start to actually better understand those thoughts and feelings as well. The way I like to describe it to people is it's a bit like if you imagine you're on a big a real big highly trafficked road, something like a motorway, something like the M25. If you stand in the central reservation, you've got all these thoughts flying past you on sort of 4 lanes, 8 lanes in total, both going each way. You're really in it, and it's really challenging. Whereas if you were to take a sort of float yourself up onto a grassy verge and then look down on the road, it's a lot easier to observe those cars from a distance than actually being in them. And that's what we're looking to do with meditation. So let's start with mindfulness. So mindfulness is the ability to be present, to rest in the here and now, and be fully engaged with whatever we're doing in the moment. And like I said earlier, learning to meditate is just like a skill. It's the same as any other skill. Think of it like exercising. A muscle that you've never really worked out before, it's going to take constant practice to get comfortable. It's normally easier if you have a teacher, and don't worry, I've got you covered there with a suggestion that I'm going to make for you. So it's really difficult for a beginner to sit for hours and try to think of emptying the mind, and it's just really difficult. So what I tend to find is the easiest way to begin meditation is by focusing on the breath. So one of the most common approaches to meditation is concentration meditation. So you can start concentrating on the breath. So concentration or guided meditation, they're sort of two similar things, but pretty much both of them involve focusing on something. So it could entail focusing on the breath, repeating a single word or a mantra, or staring at a candle flame, or listening to a repetitive sound. And also, in terms of guided meditation, guided meditation is also known as concentration meditation, because you're concentrating on the instructions that you're being given. That's what you're what you'll be focusing on, and it becomes extremely beneficial when you're doubling down and you're listening to those voices. And like I say, I'm gonna give you a suggestion in a minute of what you can what you can do. So what we want to do is, by focusing the awareness on that particular object or the mantras or whatever it is we listen to, what that's going to do is you'll start to notice when your mind is wandering. And rather than pursuing random thoughts and going down these rabbit holes with these random thoughts, you'll start to just let them go. And through this process, what happens is your ability to concentrate just improves. In terms of mindfulness, So mindfulness meditation actually encourages you to observe wandering thoughts as they drift around the mind. The intention, again, similarly to what I was just speaking about, is not to actually get involved, not to judge them, but just be aware of them. And you can also start to see how your thoughts and feelings move in particular patterns. So you start to become a really good observer. You become often when you're doing this, you become very aware of the tendency to judge really quickly as whether an experience is good or bad or pleasant or unpleasant. But what happens with practice is inner balance starts to develop and it becomes really, really powerful. There's other meditation techniques as well, like daily meditation. Buddhist monks focus on the cultivation of compassion. This involves envisaging negative events and recasting them in a positive light by transforming them through compassion. And there's other meditation like Tai Chi and Qigong and walking meditation or moving meditation. But yeah, there's loads of them. So in terms of some benefits, you might be thinking, I know I've gone into a bit of detail here, but I want to talk about some of the benefits that you can get from meditation. So there's lots of them, but according to Herbert Benson, who's a researcher at Harvard University, he coined the term relaxation response after conducting research on people who had been practicing meditation. And basically what he said is it's an opposite involuntary response that causes a reduction in the activity of the sympathetic nervous system. So what you're basically doing is you're training your sympathetic nervous system, which is sort of your fight, flight, freeze response, to wind itself down, which is extremely powerful, particularly in today's world where we're so alert with so much all the time. It will reduce blood pressure, it improves circulation, it will lower heart rate, you'll sweat less, your heart rate will come down, you'll have less anxiety, you will lower your blood cortisol levels, you'll have less stress, you'll just feel more deeply relaxed. So again, there's lots and lots of benefits to it, but the goal of meditation really is to be present. You know, in Buddhist philosophy, the ultimate benefit of meditation is liberation of the mind from attachment to things it can't control, like external circumstances, like strong internal emotions, and that's something that we want to focus on. So 3 practical ways of how you can put this to use. So I like using something called a Muse headband, which measures my brain waves. That's slightly more advanced, for more advanced sort of meditators, if you like. Then use an app called Headspace. So Headspace is my go-to for beginners. There's other apps like Insight Timer or Calm. I've not personally used them, so that's why I tend to use Headspace. But also Brain FM is really good as well. So Brain FM, if you listen to Brain FM, what it will do is it will literally change your brainwaves. So we've got 4 different brainwaves. I'm not going to go into them now, but ideally when we're meditating, we want to be in a theta state, and it will change your brainwaves within 10 minutes, scientifically proven. So yeah, that's something that's extremely beneficial. So I've gone into quite a bit of detail on meditation because it is so powerful. The next thing I want to talk about in terms of your morning routine is breathing. Now, did you know that 70% of the toxins inside your body are removed through the lungs? It's a huge amount. Now, obviously, breath and breathing is an essential element to life. We know that. But today, most of us are using less and less of our lung capacity. You know, when you're stressed, what you'll tend to find is that you'll breathe really shallowly, and you'll be surprised how much we hold our breath as well. So, of course, breathing is key to physical and mental well-being. And if it's done properly, it will boost your energy, it can relieve pain, and it really can transform your life. So I'm going to give you 3 exercises that you can use in terms of breathing. So I call it conscious breathing. So obviously there's breathing that we're doing every day when we're just thinking about when we're not thinking about breathing, we do it to stay alive. But this is more conscious breathing. So the first thing is power breathing. So what you'd do is you'd take sort of 10 power breaths, sort of once to 3 times a day, in the ratio of 1-4-2. So you might breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 16 seconds, breathe out for 8 seconds. That's really good for creating energy. So like I said, the ratio of 1-4-2, if you're using 4 seconds before 16, 8. Really powerful. Do that 10 times. And you'll notice your energy levels start to increase. The second tip that I want to talk about is box breathing. So this is a really good thing. So if you want to get fired up in the morning, you might want to use power breathing, if you want to feel a little bit more calm, then you use box breathing. So box breathing is also known as square breathing, and it's a technique used when taking slow, deep breaths. It can heighten performance and concentration, and it's a really powerful stress reliever. And this is a technique that's beneficial to anyone that wants to sort of use it as just as they're about to meditate. And it's used from everyone from US athletes to US Navy SEALs, police officers, nurses. It really is fantastic. And yeah. We're going to go through it now. So box breathing works on a ratio of 1-1-1-1. So you'd basically breathe in for 4 seconds. If we're going to use a 4-second count, you'd breathe in for 4 seconds. You'd hold it for 4 seconds. Breathe out for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4 seconds. Then breathe in for 4 seconds again. I tend to recommend a minimum of 3 rounds of that. I mean, three rounds takes less than a minute. And that's, again, something you can incorporate multiple times a day. Or you might want to do 3. You might want to do sort of 3 to 10 rounds first thing in the morning. So yeah, that's something that I would highly recommend. The next thing I want to talk about is visualization. So visualization techniques have been used by successful people to visualize their outcome for many, many years. And one of my favorite authors, a guy called Dr. Maxwell Maltz, referred to the process as using the theater of your mind. And this particular practice of visualization has given some high achievers what seems like superpowers, helping them create their dream lives by accomplishing one task or goal at a time with hyper focus and complete confidence as a result of using visualization. And we all have this power, but most people have never been taught to use it effectively. So visualization is basically seeing the goal as already complete in your mind's eye. It's a core technique, and it really is used by some of the world's most successful people. And it's particularly effective because it harnesses the power of your subconscious mind. Now, when we visualize goals as complete, it creates a conflict in our subconscious mind between what we're visualizing and what we already have. And our minds are hardwired to resolve those conflicts by working to create a current reality that matches the one we've already envisioned. So effectively, by visualizing your outcome, visualizing your goals, your subconscious is then going to start to do the work for you and make that a reality. Which sounds a bit woo-woo and out there, but what it's going to do is going to start to identify opportunities, and we're going to talk about that in a minute when we talk about the reticular activating system. So visualization really does just activate the creative powers of your subconscious mind, motivating it to work harder and create those solutions. You'll also notice new levels of motivation, and you'll find yourself doing things that you wouldn't normally do or things that you would avoid, but what they're going to do is they're going to take you much closer to success. So I just mentioned the reticular activating system. So visualization boosts the visualization works, and the reason why it sounds a bit sort of far-fetched, but what you're doing is you're engaging your reticular activating system, known as the RAS. And what that does is a small part of your brain, sort of the size of about the top of your fingertip, and it serves as a mental filter for the 8 million bits of information that are streaming into our brain in any one time. And the RAS thinks in pictures, not words. So daily visualization feeds the reticular activating system the pictures that it needs to start filtering information differently. And as a result, your reticular activating system will start to pay attention to things that can help you achieve your goals, information that otherwise it might ignore. And I'll use a prime example of this is you might have bought an item, which could be an item of clothing or a watch or a car, and you thought, yeah, I want to get that. It's really unique. I've never seen anyone with it. And then you get it, and then what happens? You see it everywhere. That's because that image has been imprinted into your reticular activating system, and then you start to notice it everywhere. So some key benefits to visualization is it activates your creative subconscious, which, like we've already spoke about, is going to start generating ideas, creative ideas for you to achieve your goal. It's going to program your brain to more readily perceive and recognize the resources that you need to achieve the dreams. It will activate the law of attraction by drawing into your life people, resources, circumstances that you need to achieve your goals. And it's also going to build your internal inspiration to take the necessary actions to achieve your dreams. It really is a simple process. You literally just sit in a comfortable position, you close your eyes, you imagine it in vivid detail. What would you be looking at if the dream was already realized. You can literally imagine being inside yourself, looking through your eyes at the ideal results. That's something that you can do. Extremely powerful. And then I'm gonna and I'm gonna go into another thing in a little bit more detail in a moment, just to give you some science behind how powerful this is. A study was conducted by Dr. Biasotto at the University of Chicago some years ago, and basically he got a group of people, he split them into three, and tested each of those three groups on how many free throws they could throw with a basketball. After he did it, what he did is he got the first group to practice the free throws every day for an hour. The second group only visualized making the free throws, and the third group did nothing at all. And after 30 days, he tested them again, and the results were astonishing. Now, the first group had improved by 24%. The third group didn't improve at all, which was expected. But what was astonishing was the second group improved by 23%, and they didn't even touch a basketball. Now, obviously, I'm not condoning being lazy and not taking action to achieve your goals. That's not what I'm talking about here. But what I'm trying to drive home is imagine what you could do if you implemented both action and the mental rehearsal of visualization. The sky really is the limit, and you can apply this to all aspects of your life. And if you do, it can work absolute wonders for you. And the daily practice of visualizing your dreams as though they're already complete can rapidly accelerate your achievement of those dreams, those goals, and ambitions. What I want to do now is I'm also just going to go into a little bit more detail on a particular technique called the mental rehearsal technique, which if you listen to this and you're in a position, you can do this with me as we do it now, or you can come back and listen to this at another time. So the mental rehearsal technique, this is a visualization process that's been used by athletes since the 1960s, and originally it was mainly used by the Russians. And the way that you do it is very simple. So this is slightly more advanced rather than just sitting there. It's going to give you a bit more of a process. So imagine that you're sitting in a movie theater. The lights dim and the movie starts, and it's a movie of you doing whatever it is that you want to do as you wish to do it. Now, see as much detail as you can create, including your clothing, the expression on your face, small body movements, the environment, any other people that might be around. Add in any sounds that you might be hearing, like traffic or music or other people talking or cheering. And then finally, recreate in your body any feelings that you think you might be experiencing as you engage in this activity. Now what you do is you get out of your chair and you walk up to the screen, you open an imaginary door in the screen and you enter into the movie. Now you experience the whole thing again, but this time you're inside yourself, looking through your own eyes. And this is what we call an embodied image, rather than a distant image, which is what you were in before. And it will start to deepen the impact of the experience. See everything in vivid detail, hear the sounds you would hear, feel the things that you would feel. And then finally walk back out of the screen that's still showing the picture of you performing perfectly, return to your seat in the theatre, but this time you're going to reach out and grab the screen and shrink it down to the size of a cracker. You're going to bring this miniature screen up to your mouth and you're going to chew it up and you're going to swallow it, right? And it's a bit playful and it sounds a bit out there, but just roll with it. And then imagine those tiny pieces, just like a hologram. It contains the full picture of you performing really well. And imagine all those little screens traveling into your stomach and then through the bloodstream into every cell of your body. And imagine that every cell of your body is lit up with the movie of you performing perfectly. It's like one of those sort of appliance stores where they've got 50 TVs that are all tuned into the same channel. And when you finish this process will take you less than 5 minutes. You can open your eyes and just carry on with your day. And if you want to use this as your visualization technique, you'll be amazed at how much improvement that it can make to your life. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to split this podcast into 2 parts because we've gone through a lot already and there's an awful lot to digest. So this is the end of part 1. Join us for part 2 where we're going to be talking about exercise, learning, cold showers, vitamin vitality, what net is, and I'm also going to give you a little technique and a little challenge as well, so that you don't get overwhelmed by thinking, how the hell am I going to fit all of this into my day? So come and join us for part 2 that you can listen to straight away. Until next time, make it happen.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Make It Happen with Will Polston podcast. Make sure you join Will's free Facebook group, the Make It Happen community. Please support the show by subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud or Google Play. Share this episode with at least one friend you think would benefit from it, and give Will a 5-star review wherever you download your podcasts. Until next time, make it happen.